Hi everyone. I want to first off thank the Chamber of Commerce for giving me an opportunity to speak today about the United Way. And but moreover than that, from the United Way, we want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for being such a strong partner of ours over the last several years, and to thank everybody in this room because I know that a lot of you have done a lot of work for United Way, and we really appreciate it. There's a couple things I want to talk about today, and I'm going to focus on the United Way of Wise County. But the first question could be, why? I want to read to you a story that comes from one of the United Way agencies. This is an agency that we help fund. Many of you are familiar with this. It's the Court-Appointed Special Advocates, and otherwise known as CASA. Folks know who that is? They help children who otherwise could not get help in judicial matters and other matters. This story is absolutely true. It comes from one of the CASA volunteers. The name is not correct, so we're not going to be talking about who it is. But it's about a little girl named Cheryl. And when she was placed in her second foster home after being in foster care for less than a month. Cheryl had been the caretaker of her younger brother and found it very difficult to give up her role as mother. Her mother was unable to provide care due to substance abuse, and her father was in prison. Cheryl learned to cover up her mother's substance abuse issues and neglect. She found it very difficult to trust anyone, especially adults. Mistrust of adults led to multiple behavior problems in most of her foster homes and school. Cheryl was moved to many different homes and one group home within her first 6 months of being in foster care. Everyone in her life found it difficult to manage her severe behavior problems. Intro CASA. CASA visited Cheryl on a monthly basis and gradually built a trusting relationship. On one of those visits, Cheryl asked the volunteer, "How much do they pay you to visit me?" The CASA volunteer responded, "I'm not paid anything. I'm here only because I want to be here. I have come to visit because I care about you, and I'm interested in how you're getting along and if you're happy and making friends." The CASA volunteer continued to meet with Cheryl regularly, and over time Cheryl transitioned to another foster home. This was the first time Cheryl had been in a two-parent home where she was the only child. She told CASA about how special her mom and dad made her feel. She described going on family activities with these foster parents and bowling, roller skating, other things, and she was eventually able to develop relationships with friends at her new school. Cheryl told CASA about her friends with pride and brought friends home and had sleepovers. Cheryl began to trust more and more and was able to talk with her counselor soon about the abuse that she suffered in the home of her biological family. CASA was able to witness Cheryl making honor roll and becoming involved in her school and school sports. And also the new foster family has adopted Cheryl, and she continues to thrive in her adoptive home. She was able to receive and give love and develop normal relationships. This comes from a story from CASA, a United Way organization right here in Wise County. And this is not unusual. This is the kind of work that Wise County and United Way, that Wise County needs, and United Way is helping to provide. Now I want to just mention a little bit about the United Way and how things work at the United Way. And then I want to make sort of a pitch to you, business folks and people that work at some of our larger institutions, about what is probably the best and least tapped resource that we can help folks like this. The United Way, there are different types of United Ways all over the country. Some United Ways have tens of millions of dollars of budget and staffs of 20 and 30 people, and executive directors making 3 figures, and it ranges from that all the way down to sort of Wise County style. We are part of the United Way of Southwest Virginia, and that group is that's Scott County, Dickinson County, Wise County, and the city of Norton. And this entire organization is 100% volunteer. We don't have any paid staff. And the way it works is that each county has its own advisory committee. And we have 10 or 15 or 20 volunteers in each county. This group of people that don't get paid a thing do the United Way work in that county. And because it's 100% volunteer, and because there's no paid staff and our overhead is very small, we are able to say a couple of things. The decisions that happen in United Way and where the money goes in United Way to the agencies is made by people that live here, no doubt. The other thing that's very important, 100% of every penny that comes into our campaign for Wise County goes directly out to people in Wise County. There is nothing that comes off the top. And that's unusual for United Way. The way that we're able to do that is twofold. We do have people from all over the country that send some undesignated money into Southwest Virginia United Way every year. And because of that and the fact that we don't have very much overhead, if any, we're able to put all the money that's raised right back into the agencies. Now, what does the United Way do? A couple big things we do. We try to work with legitimate 501c3 organizations. You can't just come in and say, hey, will United Way write me a check? I need to do something, unless you're already a verified nonprofit organization. We work with those agencies, and we have liaisons with those agencies. We also coordinate agency efforts so that if a person needs to be transferred from one agency to the other because of specialty, we can help facilitate that. And we also do some volunteer work in Wise County every year. When an agency applies for funding, they have to, in the April time frame, they have to fill out an application for the United Way of Wise County to receive funding. And in this is an application from the American Red Cross. And there's a couple of things they have to do. They have to apply for specific programs, not just, hey, we need the money for operations. It has to be a specific program. The second thing is, and one of the biggest things, two big things that we look at as United Way in deciding funding, is how many people in Wise County did you serve 2 years ago, how many this year, and how many projected next year. And if those numbers aren't large, we tend not to fund those. We want our part in Wise County, we're trying to get as many people helped as possible. I can tell you that we have about 13 United Way agencies in Wise County, and if you count up the numbers of people that touches, it's over 10,000 individuals, okay? And so, there is, an agency has to go through a lot of due diligence before we do site visits. We make sure that the payrolls are not, there's not a bunch of overhead, that a certain percentage of their budget goes straight out to the people, and we make sure that they're helping people in Wise County. So that's what an agency does to apply. In this coming year, we're in our campaign right now, between October and the end of December, and we're trying to raise $80,000, and we are about 15% at our goal so far. We're just getting started. We have a number of things we're working on, and we have a number of good companies that do this every year and work with their employees and make donations that just haven't come in yet. But we do have a long way to go to get to our goal this year. And here are the agencies that will be funding next year with the money we raised this year. There are a few more United Way agencies than this in Wise County, but they don't always apply for funding every single year. So this year it's American Red Cross. They do disaster relief, and their projects are disaster relief in Wise County. When there's a fire at somebody's house, they're the first people there. Second thing that they do is that we provide funding for They provide contact and telephone calls for people in Wise County who need to contact a serviceman overseas. Those are the two things that we fund them for. There's His Ministries that does drug treatment and education and awareness for teens. Southwest Virginia Legal Aid has domestic violence victims, and they provide legal services for those folks that can't afford it otherwise. Appalachian Community Action Agency, they have a specific housing rehab program. Goodwill Industries and their particular employment program that they have. Mountain Empire Older Citizens, the areas that we fund there are child advocacy, home delivered meals, respite for caregivers, and emergency fuel fund for the elderly. Family Crisis and Support Services. The Health Wagon, we help with RAM. Family Crisis and Support, that's domestic violence and homelessness, of course, what we help with there. The Wise County Food Bank, their program, of course, consists of feeding people that don't have, can't get food. And then CASA, who I just mentioned to you. So those are the agencies that we're trying to raise funds for this year. We're going to try to raise $80,000, and different amounts will go to different agencies, which has already been predetermined by this application process and review, and we've gotten back with the agencies and told them where they stand in that process. We do the same thing every year. So now it's out to, now we're out to raise money. Why would anybody give to United Way? Some people say, why would I give to United Way when I could give to MEOC? Very valid point. I would just say, do you know exactly which project your money's going to? If you don't, figure it out. They'll tell you and they'll put the money to it. I'm not saying that. They will definitely do that. But for corporations, we take, we love corporate donations, and we get a lot from a number of businesses in this room. But the real strength of the United Way, the real strength, is an employee of one of your operations. And what that employee can do was save $5 a paycheck. And if we could just get $5 a paycheck from the employees in your organization, that would enable them to say that their money is being spread out to all of these worthy agencies. And it would enable them to be able to give. And probably a lot of your employees don't have enough money to give enough to make a major impact with MEOC or some other, or the food bank. But if they come in together, they can really get involved. So that's what we're really pushing for this year. We have a number of companies that do great campaign, employee campaigns. They range everything from payroll deductions to a week of people having fun and bringing food in and trying to raise money for a door prize and everything in between. I have an example here of just one of our campaign companies, and this is Mountain States Health Alliance, which they have Dickinson Community Hospital and Norton Community Hospital. And this is a form that they have that they give out to all their employees over a couple-day period. They also have a dunking booth. I think they put one of their top executives in a dunking booth, and they take $5, so they dunk him a time or two, so they have fun with that. But they allow their employees to do payroll deductions, and it's a very simple sign-up sheet. They also allow their employees to take, if they don't want to give $5 a month, but they're one of these employees that has 500 hours of PTO that they're never going to use, they will allow their employees to give an 8-hour portion of their paid time off. And then they'll take that off the employee's books, and then they'll send a check to the United Way. Lots of wonderful ways for people to donate $100 or $200 a year and make a big impact in Wise County. So they even, at Mountain States Health Alliance, they even have named their different levels. They have fair share, which they call, that's 12 hours of pay or PTO. An employee can write a check to them, or they can take it out of their paycheck, or they can do a PTO. And I know that Wellmont does similar things like this, and so do other companies, like I know Dominion does, AT&T, I'll forget somebody, but I know a lot of companies do this. And or they just have a pledge, or of course if they don't want to donate, that's certainly fine. But I wanted to let you know a little bit about what United Way does. Wanted to show you what we're trying to do this year, and I wanted to try to impress upon you why somebody, an individual that's working, that doesn't have thousands of dollars to donate to charity, could get involved, and a group of them together could make a great impact. So I really want to make a plea to everybody here that's got a business or works at a college or in the school system. See if you can get an employee campaign started in your company or institution. Some employers don't do payroll deductions, that's okay. You can take 4 hours out of the day and put a United Way sign in the can up in the break room and say, hey, here's where we're giving to United Way today. And hopefully I've shared a little information with you about why that would be a good thing. That's the end of my presentation. I really appreciate your time. I look forward to working with you all on this. And you know, Joyce is on the board at the United Way as well of Southwest Virginia, and a number of us are in the room. But if you have any questions about how to get a campaign started, or if you would like to have an agency come on a day and tell something about their agency and how United Way helps them on the day of that employee campaign, just let us know and just call me. We'll work it out. And keep an eye on the newspaper. There's going to be more press this year about the United Way, because we really have a large number to meet. I will also, though, say our agencies, and they have demonstrated to us about $125,000 worth of need. But we don't want to tell an agency, okay, when we haven't raised much more than this before. So we want to be realistic with them. So, I mean, you should know there's more need among these agencies than this 80,000 represents. And we're not, for any of these agencies, we're not the only mode of funding. But we are, you can ask them, we're an important part for each one of these agencies to keep their services going.
Dan, could you
Yes.
mention the one time that it really hit home to you, the need for the food bank? What happened when you were at the food bank?
Well, that's good. I went, it was 2 years ago, I went to work at the food bank one day as my volunteer service for United Way. And it was just packed. People were just packed to get in there. I'm glad you brought that up. But I was working with Land. We were fixing boxes. He was showing me what families get and how much they can get and what they can allot, because they don't have enough food for the people that are there. But the thing that I worked for about, I say one whole day, I think it was like 4 hours I worked with Land and the crew down there. And then when I was done, it was hard work. Lifting, toting, counting, you know, stocking shelves, cleaning up. But as I was leaving, one family, there was like 5 of them, they were in the parking lot with their van doors open, and they were eating bologna sandwiches in the parking lot at the food bank. And that is when it really hit home to me, when I said, you know, these people, they come to get the food and they don't even go home to prepare it. They're so hungry they have to have their dinner right here in the parking lot. And it's things like that that we really need to think about when we're trying to get across to our employees and associates, when really all we're asking for people is $5 a paycheck. I mean, you know, so thank you for that. And any questions from anyone? I appreciate your time very much. Look forward to working with you on this.